It's very difficult sometimes, ladies and gentlemen, if I may, when I'm doing this show, to out stupid some of the things that Donald Trump says. I mean, honestly, pegs the needle, and we have to look very hard to find someone who can just extemporaneously, off the top of his head, say stuff that sounds like it didn't come from anywhere near his head. Quite frankly, the top of his bottom, if I might be completely frank. And that would be Eric. Now, Eric, for those of you that don't know, in the New York case, when everybody was deposed, Don Jr. and Ivanka, who later Ivanka's shit was thrown out, but because she wasn't an official, that was why her dad made her a fucking contractor, essentially, to protect her from the company, so that she wouldn't be engaged in all the criminal shit that her brothers were engaged in, and Eric, there's like a tier of like the children. Tiffany gets a pass because he doesn't even acknowledge she exists, and Baron's too young. But Eric's the one he can do without, followed by Don Jr., then Ivanka's the protected class. I think he would renew a relationship with Tiffany, give her a job that would get her in criminal trouble so that she could get thrown in front of Ivanka just to protect herself. But in their depositions, Don Jr. answered a bunch of questions, as did Ivanka. But both Eric and Trump Sr., both of them pled the fifth 400 times on the same questions. And this would be that, obviously, because Donald Trump knows he engaged in criminal activity and had Eric, the most expendable son, be his direct proxy on those kind of documents and those kind of endeavors, what have you. So anything he knew was like really bad, he would have Eric handle it and throw him under the fucking bus. Right. So Eric claimed he pled the fifth the exact same number of times his dad did, 400, 500 times, right? I think it was 400, but anyways, the idea is that he's the one that his dad doesn't mind, going to jail. So here we go. This is Eric Trump. This is a joke. Well, shit. Hold on one second. I'm going to need, let's see this. Check this over here. This sound effect. Let's see if we can. We're gonna need. Yeah, we're gonna need that. If this is a joke, I'm gonna need that. Oh shit! Sorry, it's the other clip.
Reaction. He's from the Trump Organization. He's
is he
involved in this case?
He's from the Trump Organization. He's involved in this case. Okay, first of all, everybody from the Trump Organization is involved in this case because it's like a 9-person endeavor. It's a bullshit mini mob company.
It is a national disgrace. Eric.
The company? Yeah, I agree. Trump, he is right about that. I will. Sean Hannity, hey, welcome to a broken clock moment. Sean, you're right. The Trump Organization is a national disgrace. Listen to this shit again.
The Trump Organization. He's involved in this case. It is a national disgrace. Eric.
Right. Yes. He's involved in it. It's a national disgrace. You're right, Eric. The entire Trump Organization, his dad. Ugh.
Eric Trump, glad to have you back, sir.
Yes, glad to have you back, sir.
It's great to be on, Sean.
Just so because you'll be Sean. Guys, over here.
I don't even know where to begin.
That I believe.
I'm giving minor examples of tiny little properties going for 250 million in Palm Beach.
Right, that you can actually turn into a hotel or, I don't know, set up a fucking oil well. Nobody gives a shit. You can't do that with Mar-a-Lago because it's a protected site.
I'm talking about dirt going for 150 million. You have 20.
Right, that you can build something on. You can't build anything at Mar-a-Lago.
Some odd acres, an iconic property, intercoastal.
Yes, it's so iconic, you can't build anything there.
Ocean. How is it possible?
Well, it is Florida, though, also. Florida's, it's kind of ass, parts of it, That entire area smells oddly like oil all the time.
Yeah. This judge can do the very thing that they are accusing you, your brother, and your father of doing.
Wait, he's inflating the property and bullshitting banks and getting loans he doesn't deserve? This judge is amazing.
Because, Sean, they don't care. They don't care about the details. Mar-a-Lago is one of the most valuable properties anywhere in the world worth.
Yeah, there's like the Sean, there's like the Leaning Tower of Giza. There's the pyramid at Pisa. There's the Grand Canyon. Some of the most beautiful built structures in the world. Devil's Tower, which is doesn't even have a penthouse. Sean, there's a couple of old nuke sites in the middle of the Death Valley. You could build anything there, and it would glow in the dark. They don't know.
Well over $1 billion. Look at the portfolio of properties. They're incredible. And there's no one that's done more for the New York City skyline than Donald Trump. We
What the fuck does that mean?
hire literally and employ thousands and thousands of workers. But those...
Yeah, that's because your sites always need replacing. Like, you don't keep them up to code. So they bust you for code, and then you have to hire a bunch of people to fix shit. Also, you didn't build those fucking buildings. You bought them and leveraged that money based on property that wasn't worth that much. And you got in front of the line, in front of other people who could have afforded those buildings and done something with them, kept them up to code, had fucking sprinklers in them so they wouldn't have one of the fucking fires break out and somebody die. And certainly people who would not have rented out multiple floors to the Russian fucking mob so they could run a drug and human trafficking endeavor out of there.
details don't matter to these monsters. You know why? Because these monsters want to have my
They're monsters. These monsters will not recognize the fantastical value of the property that has to stay the way it is.
father in a courthouse. They want to have my father spend tens and tens and
No, they don't. He doesn't have to be there. He wanted to be there, fuckhead. Secondly, he could have had a jury trial if he wanted one. Here, I got news for you. Because it's a bench trial with the judge, he could have stayed home and the judge wouldn't have factored that in at all. The judge would not have given a shit if he wasn't there for every day of the trial. A jury would have. If Trump didn't show up for the jury trial multiple days for the length of this fucking thing, and now he's in for a penny, in for a pound. Like he's gonna have to exit probably end of the week, or he's stuck riding this fucker out for as long as it takes. Now, I think he also wants to badger and belittle the witnesses. He'll get ready for a gag order about the witnesses at some point, because he's going to do the same shit that he got his gag order today about the staff of the judge. That's going to happen. But at some point, he's not going to be able to leave just because he's there consistently. But if he had a jury and midway through it, he just stopped going, the jury would factor that into, this guy doesn't even give a shit. He's not even paying attention. He's a fucking scofflaw on top of, I think he's guilty, so fuck him. Whereas the judge really wouldn't factor that in at all. As a matter of fact, he'd probably prefer that Trump wasn't there and that his lawyers work it out with the other lawyers because it's a fucking corporate case. He doesn't have to be there. This is like one of the simplest fucking laws.
tens of millions of dollars. So he's distracted. So he can't be in South Carolina, and he can't be in Iowa, and he can't.
Yeah, but does he really want to be there? The crowds were pretty pitiful. When he was in Iowa, it was like that place was half fucking full, man. We're not talking 65,000 people. That's why he chose to be here. This is the biggest audience he could get right now. He can't get a 65,000 person rally anymore. Anywhere. He used to, 2015, 2016. It was a TV star running for fucking office, and it was hilarious, and half the people there were going on a fucking goof, or were just bigoted enough to go, I like the guy because he wants to build a fucking wall, or whatever that shit was. Now he can't get a crowd that big. This is his only way that he can get a crowd this big. This is the biggest fucking crowd he can get, because these assholes will put him on whatever the fuck he says. That's what it is. Yes, it's free publicity. That's all he's doing.
Be in Nevada. He can't be prosecuting Joe Biden for being the worst president in the history of this country.
Why not? Why can't he just get up early in the morning and put a bunch of videos together and then have them released all day while he's in court? Just get up in the morning and do 5-10 minute Biden sucks videos, and then about whatever the news is in the morning, and then go to court and just have them scheduled throughout the day. He's got a whole fucking staff of people. Shit, he could do it on the weekend.
And you know what? These people won't bring up the fact that we have unbelievable relationships with our banks.
Yes, no one believes your relationship with their bank. Everybody's like, why the fuck would banks put up with this bullshit? It's unbelievable.
Every single one of our banks has made hundreds of millions of dollars on our organization. We've never been in default. We've never missed a payment.
That's because you declared bankruptcy. And also, who bailed you out in these situations is the most concerning part, considering he's running for office again. When you were about to be in default, magically, banks that have no interest in your properties swooping in with hundreds of millions of dollars to fucking cradle Trump's balls.
Never gotten a nasty letter. We've got great relations.
We've never gotten a nasty letter. Then why did he declare bankruptcy 11 fucking times? Anybody?
Relationships with all of them. We've done an unbelievable job. And Quinn.
Yes, I would say it's unbelievable. I agree. And anyways, I'm holding up on one hand how many brain cells I have to knock together.
Recently, there's only 2 assets that we've actually ever sold, which both went for hundreds of millions of dollars more than my father had them listed for.
Well, he sold that other $90 million property to that dude. They bought for $5 million, and the guy bought it for $90 million and then bulldozed the property, largely because of the land. It's just, by the way, it's exactly what you can't do with Mar-a-Lago, which I find ironic. And what are those 2 properties? Which one are those?
In the statement of financial condition. And then I get to walk into court and see.
By the way, selling off assets that your grandfather bought is not a sign of success.
Records where Mar-a-Lago is listed at $18 million. It's a joke. I literally sit there and I say, which tennis court, Sean? But again, that's not why the Attorney General is doing this.
Which tennis court? Yes, by the square footage, $18 million.
I remember when she was running for Attorney General.
By the way, this is a man of the people and will protect you from the elites, by the way. This guy who jokes that the tennis court on one of his dad's clubs is worth $18 million. But he really, don't get it mixed up. This guy understands your struggle.
General in 2018, and she literally starts coming out. Her whole platform that she raised money on was, I'm going to go after Donald Trump.
Right, and she was able to raise more money than her opponent. Weird. It's almost like everyone in New York fucking hates you guys.
I'm going to get him. I'm going to get his family.
And then she got elected on that. Dumbass, I don't know why you guys keep repeating this. Literally, the plurality of voters in New York City looked at her and said, good, fuck him. I'm sick of him and his dipshit son defrauding charities. Get him. I'm sick of him bragging about sexually assaulting women. We've had this dumb motherfucker running around our city being a complete pig for decades. I'm sick. He's embarrassing. He's a liar. He's a fraud. Get him the fuck out of here. And she did. She's going to get reelected too, stupid.
I'm going to force them out of New York.
Well, no. I mean, she could stop him from doing business there, but he could incorporate in Delaware and have Trump Tower. He just can't run the business out of there because the state won't put up with it anymore. I don't know why the fuck. By the way, most of his LLCs are in Delaware, for the record.
And it's a travesty.
It's a travesty.
You see the amount of buildings my father has built. He has redefined the skyline of New York City. We employ thousands of people.
No. No. Honest to God, only 2 things have redefined the skyline of New York City. 9/11 and the Freedom Tower. Seriously. That's the only thing that has affected the fucking, in my lifetime, that's quote unquote redefined the skyline. 9/11 taking the towers down and the Freedom Tower going up. That changed it. Now that you can, any movie you see before or after 9/11, that's how you look at it.
And these aren't executives. These are, maids. These are engineers. These are security officers.
Right. They'd be working for multiple other companies. And you could argue that there would be more people employed if your dad hadn't been, hadn't elbowed his way to the front of the line when he didn't deserve it.
And they come in there and say, I want to take away all of his business licenses because we don't like the man and we try and embarrass him.
You think it's just a zero sum? You think nobody in New York's going to move in and buy those buildings?
During a presidential year, it's election.
During a presidential year. Yes, this is, in fact, one of the years where America does indeed have a president. It's been a long time since we haven't. I think it's probably, there's been, it's been about 60 years. Yeah, it's been about 60 years since we didn't have one for like a half hour. Yeah. Just saying.
Interference. It's disgusting. New York has the worst problems of any city, arguably, in the country. It's
I don't know. I think Bakersfield's having a real issue. Don't get me started on parts of Alabama, Louisiana.
dirty. It's crime-ridden.
Yeah, it's New York. I mean, it's not anything like the 70s or shit, even the 80s or even the early 90s.
You've got illegal immigration problems all over the place. And this is what the Attorney General spends her time on, going after a guy who has put more money and more assets and done more to shape an amazing American city than Donald Trump?
Wait, she's going after someone besides Donald Trump? Say that again. Listen to this statement. I don't know why he's trying to. I know where he's going, but I don't think he gets
The Attorney General spends her time.
Oh, Kevin McCarthy is giving a speech? We'll look at it in a second.
On going after a guy who has put more money and more assets and done more to shape an amazing American city than Donald Trump? All because he's a political adversary?
No, because he did it fraudulently and he stole money from other people by lying on his financials and manipulating the real estate economics of Manhattan in a way that a lot of people for a long time were afraid to pull at that cord because there's a lot of that going on in the city. He's just they're making an example of your dad. He's might even not be the worst at this point, but they're next.
It's disgusting. And to bring
Well, yeah, I mean, but, bye.
the family into it who had nothing to do with any of this, I mean...
What the fuck are you talking about? Bring the family into it? Motherfucker, you're the VP in charge of whatever dad says. Your brother is senior VP in charge of whatever dad says. Fuck are you talking about? What are you upset on behalf of your investors?
Sean, this should be illegal in the United States of America. This is...
No. You can't run for office just to avoid criming. If you get pulled over for drunk driving, you can't go, I don't have to show you my license. I've just decided to run for mayor. Get the fuck out of here.
This is what they do in communist Russia. This is what they...
Communist Russia doesn't exist anymore. It's a mafia state now.
do in Venezuela.
Which is not communist? Sure.
And it shouldn't happen. And believe me, and I've said this to you before, it's all coming from the top, Sean. It's all coming from Joe Biden because they want to take out the guy who is otherwise going to beat him in 2024.
Yeah, no, he isn't.
This is why what the Judiciary Committee is doing, this is under Jim Jordan, they're...
Yes, and their good work will continue in spite of the fact that they no longer have a speaker.
investigating whether our FBI and DOJ at the top, not rank and file.
Yeah. I mean, it stops at like 6 people. It's these awful 6 people. The rank and file aren't following those orders, so I don't even know what the fuck we're talking about. I agree Manhattan is a blast. New York is awesome.
Have been weaponized and politicized.
They haven't. They haven't. Trump is just mad that he thinks he would be protected because he was a president or former president because they didn't go after Nixon and he was friends with Nixon and Roy Cohn. So he thought once you're president, they can't fuck with you. That's that. They're never going to touch you. He bought that bullshit. And so he's like, I can do anything and get away with it. That's what he's upset about. And so, and retrospectively, he's looking back at when he was in office going, I should have attacked everybody to protect myself because it wasn't enough just to be a former president.
This is the weaponization of justice.
No.
And this is now going to go on. It's now October. A year from now, we'll be on the verge of a presidential election.
Right. And Nikki Haley will be in the lead or some shit.
And they want to put your dad basically the entire year in a courtroom.
No, he doesn't. This is a civil trial, by the way. He doesn't have to be there at all. He doesn't. He could be campaigning. If he could get bigger crowds, he'd be out there getting them. Or he doesn't trust his lawyers because apparently hashtag the best people is bullshit.
In venues where I can almost assure you, Eric, I don't want to give you news you don't want to hear. You already know. Your dad can't get a fair trial in New York. He's not going to get a fair trial in D.C.
Because everybody already knows what a crookie crimer he is, and they already made up their mind because they've spent decades around the fucking asshole.
Fulton County, Georgia, for that matter. So it's...
Yeah, Yeah, they only got a Republican governor, a Republican Secretary of State. He's only in trouble because he thought because they're Republicans he could force them to do what he needs to stay in office.
You know what, Sean? I give the judge I give the judge this afternoon credit. I really do. In the last 5 minutes, he really, he pretty much said, he came out and said pretty clearly that many of the cases or many of the claims are knocked out because they fell well before the statute of limit.
No, he didn't. This, ladies and gentlemen, if I may, is a lie. So the judge clarified that is not at all what happened. And here's the thing. If you lie to about something, your financials, or you lie to the police a decade ago, you're absolutely right. The fucking statute of limitations on that lie would be over. But if you keep re-upping the lie, or you keep using that lie in legal proceedings going forward, it's the most recent one you're on the hook for. That's the issue Trump has. He used these lies on his financial statements last fucking year. That's why there's no statute of limitations. In the case of like Hunter Biden, he didn't hide $2 million worth of taxes on money he didn't make now because he's not making that amount of money. That only happened when he was working for Burisma during that period of time. Right? So once that passes, it passes. And he admitted to it and ended up paying the taxes. Never mind the fact that he didn't continue the lie. He paid it off. This is where Eric is lying and or stupid or both, probably both.
Limitations. So I give the guy a lot of credit in trying to do the right thing in the final minutes. Eric, I think people are understanding exactly.
A 5-minute Google search would have shown him that his valuation of Mar-a-Lago was asinine.
Nope. Your evaluation of Mar-a-Lago is asinine because the property cannot be developed. It is stuck until you get a different vote from the council, where you flood the council of Palm Beach and overturn its historical site status, which I don't see Trump doing anytime soon. But if the only way he would be able to sell it for $1.5 billion is if this person already had word from the Palm Beach County assessor and the Palm Beach County, I guess, city council or whoever makes this decision, that they're going to rescind the historic status of Mar-a-Lago so that you can knock it down and put up a hotel. The problem is, why would you need a hotel there in the first fucking place? It would obstruct everything else and everybody else would bitch. It's one of the reasons why you won't allow it. And secondly, what do you think? There's a huge tourism industry for people who want to stay in a hotel 16 blocks from Jeffrey Epstein's fucking house?
You don't have to be a genius, Eric.
Well, thank God you're off the hook, both of you.
I agree.
I agree. You don't even have to be smart in any functional sense of the word to work for the Trump organization.
Sean, there's no question. A 5-minute Google.
This is a good look for him, though. This is a good freeze frame. Again, proof that the booth at Fox News does not like Donald Trump at all.
Google search would, and to look at Mar-a-Lago as being valued at $18 million is a joke. In fact, every real estate broker in the state of Florida are $18 million.
I'll buy it and sell it and make hundreds of millions. I'll be able to retire. It'll be like hitting the lotto. And I'm not joking about it because it's not funny.
Yeah, it is kind of funny. And by the way, he's probably going to take you up on that offer, and he's going to charge you too much for it. By the way, you notice how he said, I'll buy it for hundreds of millions, I'll sell it for hundreds of millions of dollars if you're selling for 18. Sean Hannity could probably, with some friends, scrounge up $300 million to buy Mar-a-Lago. The problem is they wouldn't be able to sell it for that. And he knows it. He'd be able to sell it for $250, maybe $150 to somebody, for that's just some rich asshole. But they can't do anything with it.
I'm sorry you're going through this. This is wrong. We can't have attorney generals targeting people in campaigns and then doing it in court. This is not justice in America.
Yeah, but we can't have people who can just avoid justice just by running for office.
That is not constitutional law in America.
This isn't constitutional law. This is business. He's getting a fine and his business is being shut down. He can open it in another state if they'll allow him. He's not being jailed over this shit. The only threat of jail time from this case, by the way, is him being in contempt because he's threatening fucking people, which is of no concern to you or dipshit here.
Please update us on this case.
They've done it since day one.
Yeah.
Sean, they did it since day one. Since the minute my father came down that escalator, they went after him. The Washington Post.
Yeah, but that's because he thought for years that he could kind of crime out in the open because of how New York is and get away with it. And then he wanted to go the one step further and have power over every American citizen. And once you get to that point, that's when they start hitting you harder than you've ever been hit before, because they kind of should. And by the way, you and your fucking family went after Barack Obama and said he wasn't even, he was an illegitimate president because he wasn't fucking born here. And he was born in Kenya and his fucking wife's a man and all kinds of horrible shit. From day one, Marjorie Taylor Greene put in articles to impeach Joe Biden on the first day of his presidency. Shut the fuck up.
Literally 10 minutes after he got the call from Hillary Clinton, when she conceded, the Washington Post said this is when the impeachment of Donald Trump begins.
You're right.
And they have never stopped between the impeachments and between Kavanaugh and perfect phone calls.
Kavanaugh? I guess Gropey Groper is going to grope together.
You know, the Russia hoax, the hell that they've put our family through.
Boo. Fuckity who.
And when they realized they couldn't do it at the executive branch, guess what? They moved to state AGs and district attorneys.
Well, I guess the issue is, the lesson here is only commit federal crimes if you're going to use the federal government as your backstop to protect yourself.
In the most far left Democratic areas in the entire country.
What? How did New York become far left? Seriously. Like, I know it's definitely Democratic leaning, but how did it become far left over this time? Because you could argue if it even did, which is debatable, but even if it did because of overreach by previous right-wingers who were running the city who went too far. And so it overcorrected one direction. You're hoisted by your own fucking petard. You could argue that right now, one of the reasons Letitia James got elected and why voters came out for this fuck Trump vote that they put out was effectively how he handled the Central Park Five. And at the same time, while he's bragging about sexually assaulting women. That's why. It's not about politics. I know they wanted to be about politics, but this is actually about character and ethics. There's just people who are fucking grossed out by your dad.
To do what they failed to do in Washington, D.C., and it's a hell our family lives every day, and I am so
failed to do? He got voted out.
Thankful I've got the toughest father in the world who will fight this crap for what it is, and you know what, Sean? He's going to win. I mean, he's going to win. I'm telling you, people understand the sham for what it is.
I hope you...
Nope. No.
You're right, Eric, because the deck stacked against him. I mean...
Uh-huh. Yes, it's his deck as well, which is
they're throwing everything they got at him. I don't know how he's still standing. I don't know.
I don't either with all those bone spurs. I guess they went away. Is that how it works? Do bone spurs just magically heal themselves? I mean, obviously it might make it hard when you're older to walk down a ramp.
How all of you are still standing.
If I'm not right, Sean, we don't have a country.
Morally corrupt and wrong. We're losing the country.
Yes, you are. You are losing the country. However, it's because it was never yours. It's everybody's. And what you want to do with it is kind of gross.
That's all there is to it. This is not justice.
If he doesn't win, we will not have a country. Because this...
Well, what the fuck? Who's we, motherfucker? Yes, the Trumps will not have a country. You will probably have to flee the country because you were committing that many crimes over that many years.
Won't stop. And these other Republicans, they'll never be able to carry the weight that my father's carried. Never.
Never. Anybody, every Republican that's ever been elected to office, pussies, all of them, worthless. I don't even know. Nobody is the man that Bone Spurs McWharton, Miss McPussy Grabber is by a large margin. Reagan who?
They don't have the backbone. They don't have the.
Well, they won't need the backbone because they don't crime as much as he does, so they won't find themselves in court that much. I mean, it was really, you're probably right. I doubt a lot of them would be able to handle the stress, but then, of course, they're not criminals, and criminals are made of different stuff. You know, they sort of expect to be in court, you know, and they've got an attitude towards the judges, and they got this kind of come at me, coppa kind of an attitude, which most people don't have because they don't engage in that level of criminality.
Willpower. They don't have the voice. They certainly don't have the.
I don't even know.
Girth. They don't have the nunt. They don't have the orange pancake makeup and the clamshell hairdo and the weird I'm going to fuck this courtroom hand gesture waddle thing. They don't have the bloodshot eyes. They don't have the pout.
Why it bothers? I mean, at some point you got to say, I got to, I don't know.
It's not, I don't know why he doesn't fucking tap out. I'll tell you why. Because it won't stop once he taps out. That's not how it works. They're not going after him. It's the lie that Trump tells the most is that they're only going after him because he's running. No. He exposed himself to a bigger magnifying glass as far as the criminality he was engaged in. That's it. And you can't put that genie back in the bottle. And he would probably try to cop a feel.
Eric, good to see you. I'm sorry you're going through this. Hey, Sean Hannity.
We'll never quit. We might give up, but we'll never quit.